Today on the channel, I am back in Japan to talk about one of my favorite pastimes, karaoke. Karaoke. I'd like to thank Factor for sponsoring this portion of the video. Especially if you're busy throughout the week like I am and can get pretty lazy about food, Factor takes the stress out of meal planning by sending fresh, never frozen food right to your doorstep. You can choose from over 35 chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals per week made with premium ingredients like filet mignon, truffle butter, and broccolini. And all it takes is 2 minutes to cook in the microwave. This week, I've been relying on Factor for my lunch, and honestly, I'm surprised with how delicious it is. Because Factor is flexible, you can set a cadence that works for both your time and budget, with plans ranging from 4 to 18 meals per week, and you can pause or reschedule your deliveries at any point. If you're interested in giving Factor a try and would like to support the content that we make here on Denki, head over to the link in the description or use the QR code on your screen to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month using the discount code DENKI50. No matter how you say it, there is absolutely something to singing our favorite songs that feels amazing. And you don't have to be particularly good either. It is a fun and casual activity to do with your friends, a great way to decompress after a stressful day at work. It's probably why you see a lot of salarymen there in the evenings. Really, for anyone, it can be an outlet to unleash those heavy emotions, which can be quite a cathartic experience. I also might be a little biased as a Filipino that also loves to listen to a lot of J-pop and anime music. Karaoke practically flows through my veins, which is one of the reasons why I love coming to Japan. Here, they take karaoke very seriously. You always hear about how well connected Tokyo is by transit, but I swear it feels like you can't walk like 5 minutes from a major train station without running into at least one of Japan's major karaoke chains. And there's good reason for that. As far as brick and mortar modes of entertainment go, I could believe that this is the most accessible. We're talking nearly 10,000 karaoke-focused establishments spread throughout the country, accounting for over 116,000 karaoke rooms, all of which are usually equipped with commercial-grade audio-visual gear to make even the most average layman feel like they are a rock star performing on stage. Of course, I'll be visiting one of these rooms and singing my heart out later in the video, but all of this plays into a $10 billion industry domestically in Japan. It's as much a serious business as it is fun, which is absolutely crazy to me, especially considering how it all started. The word karaoke or karaoke comes from a combination of two words. There's kara, which comes from the Japanese word karapo, meaning empty, and oke, or the front part of orchestra. Put both of the words together, and karaoke means empty orchestra. Originally coined as an industry term, it was used to describe when live productions couldn't hire a full-on band to play music and had to rely on backing tracks instead. I think you can see where this is going. Now, in the 1950s and 60s in Japan, it wasn't uncommon to see traveling musicians that would perform for patrons as they drank the night away at local bars. Called nagashi, these guys were essentially living, breathing jukeboxes that would perform covers of the era's most popular music. Customers would have a blast singing along, and of course, the owners of these joints absolutely loved this because it kept people entertained enough to stick around and of course spend more money on drinks. But there's a problem. The Japanese love alcohol a little too much, and in some parts of the country there are so many bars, in fact, that there weren't enough wandering musicians available to book for every establishment that wanted one. However, thanks to advancements in recording technology and some clever entrepreneurs, a solution was beginning to take shape, and boy would it change the world. There is some back and forth on the internet regarding who actually invented the idea of the karaoke machine, but generally speaking, it comes down to one of two people. The first, Shigeichi Negishi, who was a consumer electronics engineer, prototyped prototyped this funky looking box. It had a built-in speaker, a microphone jack, these funky looking lights, as well as a 100 yen coin slot for customers to pay, but most importantly, an 8-track cassette deck where users could plug and play a selection of their favorite tunes to sing along with. You know who's also singing along? The cicadas. They're pretty loud right now. It's also blistering hot right now in Japan. He called it the Sparko box, and it was a modest success, selling around 8,000 units, and with it, a collection of tapes with recorded instrumentals and printed booklets with lyrics, you know, to make it karaoke. People absolutely loved it. Both amateurs and professionals alike felt empowered now that they didn't need a live band or studio setup in order to sing. This box changed the game. Now, as chance would have it, in another part of Japan, a musician named Daisuke Inoue decided he was also going to upstart his own karaoke machine called the 8-Juke, which basically did all of the same things that the Sparko box did, but had even more features for people to hone their singing skills. Since he was musically inclined, Inoue was able to record all of his instrumentals for the 8-Juke in alternative keys, which made it easier for even novices to sing with. The built-in sound system also utilized reverb to help smooth out shaky vocal delivery through the microphone. But really, what helped him get his product out there to the masses was the fact that he offered them to bars and other businesses for free, with of course a split of the revenue generated from each machine. All this to say, the Sparko box as well as the 8-Juke kicked off a karaoke boom in the 70s here in Japan. Although you might be surprised to hear that both Negishi and Inoue never got to reap the benefits of this success. And that's because they never patented their inventions. Even more interesting than that is that a Filipino by the name of Roberto del Rosario did. I guess technically that makes him the sort of, but not really inventor slash stepdaddy of the karaoke machine. Regardless, it's no wonder both countries consider karaoke to be a pastime. They were literally at the foundation of it. But for the Japanese especially, music is an integral part of their pop culture. By the numbers, Japan boasts the world's second largest music market by revenue, right behind the United States, making it the ideal backdrop for karaoke to thrive. Skipping forward about half a century, karaoke tech has understandably gotten way more advanced. Right now, I am currently in one of the thousands of karaoke rooms spread out all across Japan. And these places are genuinely fun to be in, especially if you have that urge to sing. Plus, if you're like me and have an hour or so to kill and want to take a break from the blistering summer heat outside, this is the place to do it. Now, the room that I'm in right now is pretty basic, especially since it's just me in here. But generally speaking, in places like this, you have larger rooms available, especially if you are with a bigger group of people. Though, when you boil it all down, regardless of what room you rent, all of the core equipment is generally the same. You have a set of microphones, some pretty loud speakers on the ceiling, a decent TV, though for a single room, this one is quite large. It almost looks like it's 55 to 60 inches. But most importantly, you have the brains of the operation, the modern karaoke machine. We're gonna talk a little more about that gigantic box in just a moment, but all you need to know is that all of this comes together to make an immersive experience that hopefully makes you feel like a rock star. Muteki no egao de rasameria, sono egao de... I forgot Japanese. Karaoke is very fun, especially when you don't know the lyrics 100% because you don't really know Japanese that well. I can kind of read it, but not really. But that's the thing about karaoke is, again, you don't have to be good at it. It's just fun to sing in general. There's no pressure. This isn't like American Idol or something. They still do that, right? American Idol? Okay, but maybe a song in English. Now, obviously, Japan isn't the only country in Asia or around the world that does karaoke, but I think that the way that they do it, especially in these types of establishments, is pretty dialed in. A huge reason why I love the experience is honestly using one of these tablets. It interacts directly with the actual karaoke machine, but instead of, walking up to the whole unit over here, you could have this tablet at the comfort of the couch and table that you are sitting at. And here, you can use this device to load up any kind of music that you want to sing. You can search by artist, you can search by specific song. They also have suggestions and lists based off of what users are listening to or what's hot in Japan. Those are especially useful if you are like me and have no idea what to sing because there are so many options out there. But also, in addition to being able to cue music, you can also prep the instrumental to make it either easier to sing or to match better with your voice. Here you can actually change the key of the song, which is really cool. Plus, you can also tweak things like microphone echo, how loud the background music is. If there are background vocals in the song, you could also tweak how loud those are as well. It's almost like a pseudo mixer. And on the topic of the actual karaoke machine, these devices are super beefy. I mean, obviously size-wise, they are massive, but there's actually decent hardware in here. Even though a lot of the documentation online for these devices are in Japanese, which kind of limits the amount of research I'm able to do, I have seen some models of these karaoke machines run NVIDIA Tegra hardware and Intel Core processors. And with that in mind, I don't think it's totally out there to say that these karaoke machines could give some game consoles and PCs a run for their money. I know that might be a bit funny to hear, especially when you consider how simple karaoke is. I mean, literally, it is just text on screen with a video playing in the background. But when I think about it a little deeper, I think that the hardware is justified. Factor in all of the real-time audio processing that is happening, both for the background music as well as what is coming in through the microphone. Also, there are a lot of features on here to make karaoke more fun, such as games and whatnot, that can be more graphically demanding. And remember, we are in a karaoke establishment, which is a business, and this thing has to be built to run 24/7. There can't be any audio latency or lag, no performance hiccups, and of course, this machine has to withstand consistent use all the time without breaking down. The last thing you want is for your customers to go down to the front desk and be like, what the fuck's going on? It's bad business. A brand new commercial unit bought directly from LiveDam or JoySound, two of Japan's top karaoke service providers, can run you as much as $20,000 to start. And that's not even accounting for the licensing fees that you need to pay to get up and running on their proprietary networks. And you'll also probably want some additional accessories as well, such as microphones, speakers, sound amps, TVs. All said and done, before you know it, you're like 2 Toyota Corollas deep in the hole. And I ain't got no money for that. So that's out of the question, but you might be wondering what options actually exist for us everyday folk that want to do karaoke at home. Growing up, I remember my parents had this Filipino system called Magic Sing. It was a microphone with a keypad on the front and RCA cables out the end to plug into your TV. And for songs, it relied on extremely overpriced cartridges in order to add music. I swear that back in the day, they spent like $1,000 on this thing, which even at the time felt like highway robbery. But thanks to the internet, now there are some decent options out there. For example, this is one of the highest rated ones on Amazon. It's called the IKARAO Break X2. It's basically the whole package. On the front, you get a 600-watt speaker setup. Open this up to reveal a 10.1-inch Android tablet, which also has HDMI out should you want to output onto a larger display. Down here, you have 2 wireless microphones that also charge inside of it as well. Feedback. The icing on the cake is that there's actually a built-in battery in here, which will give you around 8 hours of continuous use. And it even has handles and hooks for a strap so that you can take it anywhere on the go. This thing is super cool. Let me play a bit of karaoke then. Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shed. Well, they keep coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop coming and they don't stop. How loud can this thing go? Oh, Bro, these speakers get so loud. Oh my God, 600 watts ain't no joke. Not only that, but the built-in vocal effects are pretty rad, and having Android on board means that you get a lot of media playback options. They actually recommend you use an app called IKARAO, which is a $10 a month service that gives you access to a huge library of karaoke songs. But it's not totally necessary because you can access YouTube on this thing just like what I'm doing right now, although it's through the web browser because for some reason I can't get Google Play services to work on it. But honestly, this isn't the worst trade-off given how compact and complete this entire setup is. And I think that for 95% of people out there, this karaoke box will absolutely do the trick. Even though this costs like $370 before tax, at the very least, it's absolutely what my parents would have dreamed of back in like 2005. Now, for the weebs out there that might want to go the extra mile to get that true Japanese karaoke experience from an actual Japanese service, you can actually get Joy Sound for the Nintendo Switch. Now, it does require a Japanese eShop account and some way to pay in Japanese yen since this is a paid service, but the pricing is pretty good, and truth be told, it feels like the real Joy Sound. It has virtually all of the anime and J-pop songs I could ever want to sing, as well as a lot of English songs too. The only things you'll have to keep in mind when going this route is 1, all of the menus are in Japanese, so unless you know the language, Google Translate will be your friend. And 2, while the Nintendo Switch will take a USB microphone for you to sing with, dialing in audio latency relative to your TV can also be pretty annoying. The best solution that I found, apart from diving into some settings, is actually just picking up a karaoke mixer off Amazon, just like this one. It costs about $80 and really works best when you plug it into a set of speakers or your soundbar. But basically, it'll take your Nintendo Switch audio over HDMI, pass through the video to your TV, and through an aux cable, it'll mix the sound coming from not only the console, but also the 2 included wireless microphones. This might seem a teeny bit convoluted, but trust me, this setup works surprisingly well. And especially if you already have a Nintendo Switch sitting in your living room, this solution is way more cost-effective than that karaoke boombox. But that's all I got for now. Let me know, what is your go-to karaoke song in the comments below? Otherwise, thanks for watching this video on Denki channel.